Hey, what's up, y'all? It's David with I'm So Offended. Uh, been a minute. Been really busy, but I've been replying to all the comments and emails and all that. So, even though I haven't done a video, I've still been like replying and been engaging and whatnot. Um, but let's go ahead and get into what this video is here. Um, It's about the Dear Colleague letter that I had previously did a video about. This was the Dear Colleague letter from 2016. It's been updated this year, just a couple months ago. So this is Dear Colleague letter as of April 20th, 2023, as you can see there. And we'll get into this. Um, and I am not a lawyer. And I do not give legal advice. All the information here is for educational, entertainment purposes only. I'm not liable for what it is that you do. Everything that I show here is things that I've tried, things that I've done, things that people I know have done and tried, that I have seen and have witnessed, and I don't put up things that I didn't do. So, um, all right. So, the U.S. Department of Justice, right? They're like overseers of everything. They house the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney General, and basically the top of the line when it comes to law um, enforcement, so to speak, in this country, and as far as the laws, rules, and regulations. And so they pass out to the judges, the people that are out every single day, doing these things in the courts, um, basically how they're supposed to do their job, right? Because ultimately, every single judge, at some point, 100% of them, in order to be a judge, had to take an oath. Had to take an oath to support the U.S. Constitution, and the U.S. Constitution was written to protect the people. The very first line in it says, "We the people." So it was written for the people, by the people, for how the law is supposed to deal with the people, right? But obviously, they grossly overreach all the time, and they violate they violate our rights all the time, all the time, you know. And so then that's when the state has to pay lawsuits, which is the taxpayer. So we all have to pay for, all these prosecutors and these police and all these people that, that wrongly, violate our rights and prosecute us and, you know, kill the people they kill, because the police are trigger happy, and we all know what it is. But anyways, as far as what the channel is is about, with the family law, child support, and all that issues. So we'll get into it here. So you can see, and actually, I'm gonna put the link in the description, which is something that I should have been doing for the stuff that I've done. So I'm going to go back, and on all the videos, I'm going to put links to the COL form, links to the previous Dear Colleague letter, um, and anything else that needs links that is necessary. So that way you guys can just easily find it directly. So as you can see, Dear Colleague, U.S. Department of Justice is committed to working with state and local courts, juvenile justice agencies to ensure that the assessment of fines and fees is constitutional and non discriminatory. All right. Letter outlines circumstances where, let me make this smaller so you guys can see that part. or unjust imposition and enforcement of fines and fees violates civil rights of adults and youth accused of felonies, misdemeanors, juvenile offenses, quasi-criminal ordinance violations, civil infractions, as well as circumstances that raise significant public policy concerns. And there's the principles there. Eighth Amendment prohibits the impositions of fines and fees that are grossly disproportionate to the severity of the offense. The 14th Amendment prohibits incarceration for non-payment of fines and fees without first conducting an ability to pay determination and establishing that the failure to pay is willful. The 14th Amendment requires the consideration of alternatives before incarcerating individuals who are unable to pay fines and fees. 14th Amendment prohibits the imposition of fines and fees that create conflict of interest. The 14th Amendment prohibits conditioning access to the judicial process on the payments of fees by individuals who are unable to pay. And the 6th and 14th Amendments require due process protections such as access to counsel in appropriate cases, as well as notice while imposing and enforcing fines and fees. And the 14th Amendment prohibits the impositions of fines and fees in a manner that intentionally discriminates against a protected class. What I would recommend, and something that I've done, is you enter this into your case in a judicial notice, because this is what they're supposed to do. Putting this on the record is telling them what their job is. This is what their job is. They can't ignore it. Now, this is how disgusting the court process is. All right, so I've been dealing with this custody issue, and they filed this motion on me that was time barred. Like, basically, they're only allowed to file this motion within the first 30 days, and they filed the motion 3 months later. The rule itself says that it can only be filed and heard within the first 30 days, not 3 months later. And so I read the rule that they tried to invoke, and I put it in my paperwork and filed it in. And, went to the hearing, and, of course I won that hearing. But the thing is, they allowed the hearing to happen. So this judge, who has an oath to the Constitution, whose duty is to protect we, the people, right, didn't care that their motion was time barred. Because in the same rule, it said that the motion, the court can, on its own motion, deny their motion, right? Like, basically, they could have seen, oh, they filed this motion, but it's time barred, so, I'm going to go ahead and dismiss it. Like, the other party doesn't even need to file anything, right? They could have just dismissed it on their own, but she didn't. Instead, the judge chose to let it go to a hearing, to waste everybody's time, because I had to invoke it. If you don't invoke your rights, you have none. You have none. You have no rights if you don't invoke them. If somebody's hitting you and you don't do anything about it, they're going to keep hitting you. Unless you say stop, unless you object, unless you defend yourself, someone is going to keep hitting you. And that is the disgusting part about law in this country, about these prosecutors and these attorneys for profit. They profit off of ruining families. That's what they do. These attorneys profit off of ruining families. I respect that they went to law school and they learned law and they did what they did, and that's what they do for work. But as a human that does that, I don't respect them at all. Kind of like law enforcement. I just don't, because they don't help the people. So that's just how it is. And obviously, if you're all here, it's because you know that is how it is. They don't care about you. You're a number that they can put in jail, and they just want money. But there's rules they need to follow. And so these rules here is what they're supposed to do. Now let's look on page 10 of this, actually. Here we go. 14th Amendment prohibits the imposition of fines and fees that create conflicts of interest. Isn't that exactly what the 4D hearings are with their 4D officer? I mean, it's their meeting with their officer, with their referee, their associate judge, their magistrate, their fake judge, their commissioner, their judge pro tem, whatever it may be. They are put in place by the agency. They have a contract with the agency to be this 4D hearing officer, right? For their matter. There's your conflict of interest. But if you don't invoke it, they will put you in jail. They'll do whatever they want to do. Regardless, I mean, they'll do whatever they want to do. I'm talking to a guy right now who they're just doing whatever they want to do. And we filed the right paperwork. We invoked the right rules, the right laws, and even used their statutes against them. But when it came to the time to the hearing, they did whatever they wanted to do. So now we're just waiting to hear what's going on with that. So no matter what they're going to do. But the thing is, by filing these things, by making your objections, by invoking your rights, you create, and then they ignore it, then you create the defect for the appeal, for your lawsuit, for your damages, for all of that. But if it's not there, you can't do it. You can't. Object. Always object. Invoke your rights, even if they don't let you speak. In these hearings, they just kind of like bombard you and they just run through you and they ignore everything you say and they just doesn't matter. You have the right to be heard. You have the constitutional right to be heard. I am going to be heard today. I invoke my rights. I reserve all my rights. I waive none. You must follow due process. There is a mandatory indigency hearing that you're supposed to perform. I am entitled to seek effective assistance of counsel. It's in your rules, your laws. We're here because you want to impose your rule and law on me. Well, here you go. Follow them. You have to state it. Talk over them if you have to. You don't have to yell, but you can talk over them. Due process also bars conflict where an institutional financial interest in the outcome of a case gives rise to a significant personal interest for the judge, even where there is no prospect of personal financial gain. That's what we're talking about here. As the department has previously observed, courts, prosecutors, and police should be driven by justice, not revenue. It may interfere with an official's neutrality, raising due process concerns if the official's impositions of fines or fees affects the amount of his or her compensation. What is it that they get? 66 cents on the dollar. All your case law is here. The Department of Justice put this together for you to use. File this into your case. All right. All right. I'll once I'm done with my custody issue, and I'll put up the videos and everything I went through with dealing with that, because I don't want to put up a partial process. I want to put up the whole thing. So, and then I think I might do just basically go over the specifics in custody cases, because I have guys asking me custody questions, and I look up their rules. I'm like, well, they're doing this because of this. This is what it says, So, and that's how they get away with it, especially the Rule 48. The Rule 48. We'll get into that at another time. But other than that, I would file this with a judicial notice. It doesn't mean that they're going to do anything, but all you're doing is covering your ass and invoking your rights. All right. So link will be in the description, and the email is in the description as well. And all right, we'll catch you next time.